An Iranian radar operator is watching a clean screen. Nothing inbound, no radar return, no heat signature. The facility beneath his mountain is 80 meters underground, the most protected nuclear site on Earth. His instruments show nothing. Then the mountain shakes. It was buried inside a mountain. Iran's engineers had done the calculations. Nothing America had could reach it. They were right about everything America had built before 2008. Then America built something else. 7 aircraft had crossed the Atlantic in total silence. 3 aerial refuels, radar cross-sections smaller than a large bird. Iran's S-300 systems, the most advanced surface-to-air missiles in the region, showed nothing. The GBU-57 does not explode on impact. It drills. It punches through concrete, through rock, through 80 meters of the geological fortress Iran spent 15 years constructing. And at the bottom, in the sealed centrifuge halls where Iran was weeks away from completing enough weapons-grade uranium for 2 nuclear devices, it detonates. 7 B-2 Spirit stealth bombers, 1 mountain, 1 weapon, built specifically for this target, 15 years in the making. What happened in the 25 minutes before that mountain shook starts now. Fordow is not a conventional military site, not a missile base, not a naval installation. Fordow is Iran's declaration, carved into a mountain near the holy city of Qom, that it had beaten American air power through geology. 80 meters of solid granite above the centrifuge halls, steel-reinforced tunnels, blast-hardened chambers, a facility designed from its first blueprint to be unreachable. That was the entire strategic logic, not secrecy. Indestructibility. The centrifuges inside those halls were spinning uranium to 60% purity. Weapons grade is 90%. That gap sounds significant. It isn't. At industrial enrichment rates, closing it is measured in weeks, not months. The IAEA had confirmed it. Iran was not building a nuclear weapon yet. Iran was weeks away from being able to. And the IAEA confirmed something else. Iran had already produced 55 kilograms of uranium enriched above 90% purity, weapons grade. Enough, without exaggeration, for 2 nuclear weapons, all of it produced under a mountain. When Fordow's existence became known to the West, Washington had a problem. The bunker busters in the American arsenal, the GBU-28, the GBU-72, could penetrate approximately 30 meters of hardened rock. Fordow sat at 80. 50 meters beyond reach, so the U.S. changed the math. The GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator, funded because Fordow existed, designed for this target, fitted to B-2 Spirit stealth bombers. For 15 years, it waited. Now it moves. 7 B-2s lift off from Whiteman Air Force Base, Missouri, just after midnight. Mission name Operation Midnight Hammer. The pilots' families are not told. They find out the same moment the world does, when it is already over. And 80 meters beneath a mountain near Qom, the centrifuge halls are still running. The operators inside them have no idea what is already crossing their airspace. 0347 local time, IRGC Air Defense Command, Tehran. The radar operator's screen is clean. It has been clean for hours. The S-300 systems are active. Radar stations covering the Persian Gulf approaches are running. The fighter alert posture is at standard readiness. The screen shows nothing, because the B-2's radar cross-section is approximately 0.1 square meters. A commercial airliner returns 100 square meters to radar. Iran's entire air defense architecture was calibrated for aircraft 1,000 times larger than what is crossing its airspace right now, 7 of them. That's a problem, just not a problem Iran knows it has yet. The GBU-57 massive ordnance penetrator is 6 meters long, 30,000 pounds. The warhead alone, 2,400 kilograms of high explosive. But weight is not what makes it different from every other bomb in the American arsenal. What makes it different is the nose, hardened steel, engineered to allow the bomb to impact a surface. Rock, concrete, reinforced steel decelerate rather than detonate and continue driving downward. GPS and inertial navigation maintain the trajectory through the deceleration. It doesn't blow up when it hits the ground. It drills through the surface, through rock, through whatever Iran placed in its path. Then, at depth inside a sealed underground chamber, it detonates, and in an enclosed space, an explosion has nowhere to go. The energy reflects off walls, bounces back, amplifies. The overpressure wave in Fordow's centrifuge halls reaches every instrument, every precision bearing spinning at 50,000 revolutions per minute. You don't need to directly hit a centrifuge to destroy it. The shock wave does the work, and it gets worse. IRGC intelligence analysts detect a pattern. American reconnaissance satellites repositioning over Guam province. The imagery collection has intensified. The orbital timing is wrong for routine surveillance. Iran's engineers understand what that usually precedes, so they make a decision. The ventilation shafts, the channels feeding air to the centrifuge halls 80 meters below, are the structural weak point. Fill them, pour concrete over the shafts, harden the entry. In any conventional bombing scenario, this is the rational last-minute defensive move. The GBU-57 was built to go through concrete, not a secondary capability. The primary design requirement. 15 years earlier, the engineers who wrote the weapons specifications asked, "What will this target do when it detects the strike is coming?" Their answer, "It will harden the entry points." So they designed a bomb that treats hardened entry points as the primary target. Iran's last act of self-defense produced a more precise version of the target the bomb was already built for. We'll come back to that. Now, the B-2s are in Iranian airspace, undetected, carrying 14 GBU-57s. Iran's radar is clean. The concrete is still setting over the ventilation shafts, and 55 kilograms of weapons-grade uranium, enough for 2 nuclear weapons, is inside the mountain the bombs are approaching. And it gets worse. While this is happening above Iranian soil, something is moving beneath the water. An Ohio-class guided missile submarine, operating somewhere in the CENTCOM area of operations. Silent. Position never confirmed by the U.S. Navy. Carrying Tomahawk cruise missiles targeted at Isfahan's nuclear complex, 340 kilometers from Fordow. Iran is about to be struck from air it cannot see and from water it has never located, simultaneously. No warning for either. Here is what Iran did not know. The GBU-57 was not designed to hit the opening of a ventilation shaft and detonate on contact. It was designed to enter the shaft, to drive through whatever material exists at the opening, rock, steel, or concrete, crises, and travel deeper. To detonate underground inside the facility where the overpressure has nowhere to dissipate. Iran poured concrete over the shafts. The GBU-57 was built to go through concrete. 15 years earlier, when the weapons design requirements were written, the engineers asked one question: what will this target do when it detects the strike is coming? And they built the answer into the weapon before the question was ever asked at Fordow. Iran's engineers, working fast, under pressure, doing everything available to them, had done exactly what the weapons designers predicted they would do. They hardened the entry point of a bomb that was designed to go through entry points. Not a mistake, not incompetence, a confirmation. The weapon was built for them, before they existed as a target, before they chose that mountain, before they mixed that concrete. Someone in Washington had already written the answer to their answer. 0812 local. Time for Dow Enrichment Facility, QOM Province, Iran. The first GBU-57 enters the north ventilation shaft. It does not explode on impact with the concrete Iran poured hours earlier. It drives through it, through the rock beneath, deeper, and at depth inside the mountain, it detonates. Then the second enters the same shaft. Third, fourth, fifth, sixth. 6 bombs into the north shaft, 6 into the south, 12 on the facility total, 2 more on the surrounding access infrastructure, each one following the same trajectory, each detonation amplifying the damage of the one before it. The concept is called drilling, sequential impacts to reach depths no single weapon achieves alone. The centrifuge halls are 80 meters down. The bomb was designed to reach them. Sequentially, it does. A pilot in a trailing aircraft watches the strike from altitude. He describes it on the record. "This was the brightest explosion that I've ever seen. It literally looks like daylight." Daylight. Over a mountain. At night. In a country whose entire air defense network registered nothing throughout the entire event. 25 minutes. From first weapon release to last detonation, then the B-2S turn west. Still in Iranian airspace, east. still undetected, back toward the tankers, back toward Missouri. Iran's radar does not pick them up on the way out either. The B-2 crews flew 18 hours, 3 aerial refuels in darkness, total radio silence from takeoff to landing. Their families found out when the world did. That is the cost of this kind of reach, and it is not a small one. But the B-2S are not the only thing moving. 0809 local time, Central Command Area of Operations, position unconfirmed. An Ohio-class guided missile submarine, silent. Its position was never confirmed before the launch, never confirmed after. More than 30 Tomahawk cruise missiles leave the water. Isfahan. 3 nuclear-related facilities struck simultaneously. The centrifuge manufacturing complex. The plant that built the machines Fordow ran. The uranium conversion facility, a research installation. Iran is being struck at Fordow by aircraft it cannot see, and struck at Isfahan by a submarine it has never located. At the same time, no warning for either. No defender in position for either. The submarine was never identified. In a military environment where retaliation requires targeting data, where you need to know what hit you before you can respond, an attacker you cannot locate is an attacker you cannot answer with precision. Iran knows the general answer. It does not have the specific answer. And the window for immediate response is already closing while Iran's command is still trying to explain what just happened to its mountain. Isfahan's complex took decades to construct. Iran now faces reconstruction on multiple fronts without knowing exactly where the second attack came from. Here is the honest number. The Pentagon assessed Fordow was set back by 1 to 2 years. That is the official U.S. government assessment, not obliterated. That was political language. Not destroyed, crippled 1 to 2 years. Now, here is what 1 to 2 years actually means. Iran built Fordow over more than a decade, digging into a mountain, lining tunnels with steel-reinforced concrete, installing precision centrifuge arrays, connecting to power and communications infrastructure, burying all of it under 80 meters of rock. The facility was designed to make destruction look impossible, to say to Washington, even if you try, you cannot reach us. That calculation held for years. The GBU-57 proved otherwise. In 25 minutes, 1 to 2 years is a setback, it's not an end. Iran's nuclear knowledge does not live in buildings. The engineers who designed Fordow's centrifuge configuration are not under 80 meters of granite. The institutional memory of the program survived. Iran can rebuild. It will cost more. It will take longer, but it will rebuild. That's a problem. And the next one is worse. Now, the most alarming sentence in this entire video, it is not exaggeration, it is a confirmed fact. It is the sentence U.S. officials, IAEA inspectors, and intelligence analysts have not been able to resolve. The 55 kilograms of weapons-grade uranium, enriched above 90% purity, confirmed by the IAEA, that Iran produced at Fordow, its current location is unknown. Let that sit. The material existed before the strike. It was confirmed. The strike crippled Fordow. But that uranium was not necessarily inside the facility when the bombs hit. Iran moves material. Iran has dispersal protocols. And in the days before the strike, when Iranian intelligence detected the satellite pattern, when engineers were filling shafts with concrete, there was time to move sensitive material. There was motive. There was capability. The 55 kilograms may have been at Fordow when the bombs hit. It may have been moved, partially moved. The strike may have destroyed some of it, or none. The United States does not know for certain. The IAEA does not know for certain. No government has confirmed the location of that material. That is not dramatic framing. That is the confirmed information state. Iran's underground secret was never just the facility. The mountain was the part everyone could see and argue about. The material, 55 kilograms, enough for 2 weapons, was always the real question. The strike answered one half of that question, definitively. The other half, the material, the location, the chain of custody, remains open. And open in the context of 55 kilograms of weapons-grade uranium is the most dangerous word in the national security vocabulary. Before this strike, the central debate over Iran's nuclear program had one question. Could American military power physically stop Iran's enrichment capacity, or had Iranian engineering made that option impossible? Fordow was Iran's answer. Thus, Mountain said, "You cannot stop us. We have put the program where your weapons cannot reach. We have looked at every bomb in your arsenal, and we chose this mountain because no bomb you own reaches 80 meters into solid granite." They were right about every bomb America had built before 2008, the GBU-57 answered back. And General Dan Kane's statement, Iran's surface-to-air missile systems did not see us, adds a second answer on top of the first. Not just, yes, we can reach the target, but yes, we can reach the target without your air defense network ever knowing we were there. Iran built its entire defensive architecture on one assumption. If the Americans come, radar will see them coming. The response chain will activate. The strike will be contested. That assumption is gone now. Iran knows, with combat evidence, not theory, that 7 B-2s can transit Iranian territory, reach any target on Iranian soil, release the largest conventional bombs in the American arsenal, and exit without a single system engaging. That changes the deterrence calculation at every nuclear facility Iran has ever built, or will build. But here is what the strike did not change. The knowledge base is intact. The engineers survived. The understanding of how to design and operate centrifuge arrays survived. The dispersed sites, whatever material moved in the days before the bombs fell, survived. Iran will rebuild. The question is not whether. The question is where and in what form, and with how much confidence that the next facility will be safer. That question is open. And open questions about Iran's nuclear program have a history of not staying open. 7 BQ-2 Spirit stealth bombers, 18 hours of flight, 3 aerial refuels, an entire national air defense network, unseen throughout, 1 mountain, 14 bombs, 25 minutes. Iran built Fordow over more than a decade. The construction involved digging into granite, lining the tunnels with steel-reinforced concrete, installing precision centrifuge equipment, and burying all of it under 80 meters of rock. The facility was not just designed to be hard to destroy, it was designed to make the attempt look futile. To say to Washington, even if you try, you cannot reach us, that calculation held for years, and then it didn't. The concrete Iran poured over the ventilation shafts in the final hours before the strike is, in retrospect, the most exact symbol of what happened. Iran's engineers, working fast under pressure, doing what they could, hardening the entry point the weapon was designed to penetrate. Not because they were incompetent, because the weapon was designed for them specifically, before they built the facility. Before they chose the mountain, before they mixed the concrete, someone in Washington had already written the answer to their answer, and that answer had been waiting for 15 years. That's what Operation Midnight Hammer was. Not just a strike, a reply to a calculation Iran finished 15 years ago. Iran built Fordow to outlast American air power. The Americans built one bomb for one target. It took 25 minutes.